Hello everyone! I am Tacet and welcome back to another episode of our Gems of War Let's Play series. Today our main objective is going to be killing Sheggra from Broken Spire. We are also going to be summarizing the tutorial. As you can see, we are level 12 now. I will be skipping in this Let's Play series quite a bit of like the grind in between and just kind of stuff like that, and I'll just be summarizing them within our actual videos as to waste as little time as possible. So let's actually get into some explaining as far as some of the tutorial stuff. The main thing that it really teaches you about is just placement and stuff of the such. We can do leveling whenever you go into crafting onto a troop. You will be able to level it. You use these souls to be able to level it. You get souls by many ways. You can get them in arena, you get them from treasure maps, you get them from killing things. Pretty much everything can give you souls in this game, even troops, and it just goes on and on, the list of things that can accumulate souls. They are very important though, as they are used to upgrade troops. As far as my leveling, I have only used the souls that were given to you as you get up to Sheggra. I have no additional souls as far from that. The order in which you actually go and level up these is you level up Goblin to level 6 first, and then you level up Warhound to level 6. And you can put the one level on Lance Knight. I believe during the tutorial it lets you, or it directs you to do it, and that's why I have one level on it. But whatever extra souls you can just put on your Lance Knight. But you will be needing a level 6 Goblin and a level 6 Warhound to be able to pull this off. You may notice that our banner is a different color. Normally the banner looks like this brown blue banner. This is the default banner. All you have to do to change this is go over to bonuses. Here you will see every single banner that you currently have available, which of course we only have the first two kingdoms unlocked, so the only things we have are brown blue and the red yellow. We are using red yellow instead of the brown blue mainly because we have two troops that will be benefiting from it, our Crude Club and our Warhound. Warhound will be able to get up in 2 turns because of that +1 yellow we have, and our Crude Club will be able to get up in a single turn just from taking a single red pair, whereas the brown-blue banner would have only given us our Lance Knight up quicker, which doesn't really do that much since he doesn't really do that much damage. He's mainly just for tanking against the enemy team. You would notice here we also have a +2 armor bonus. This is because we are using 3 Sword's Edge troops. Whenever you use troops from the same kingdom or the same type, you will be getting that bonus. Oh, sorry, I mean 2 Sword's Edge troops, and that would be Lance Knight and the Warhound. If you go into your sorting, you can actually see where these are. Like if we go over to Sword's Edge, it'll only show Sword's Edge troops, and we can see right there, there's our Lance Knight and there's our Warhound. And you may notice that there's a little green thing here. This is actually updated in the most recent patch. And this week, we happen to have a bonus to humans this week. As you can see, all humans gain 25% to their skill. So right now, my level 2 Lance Knight is kind of like a level 5 Lance Knight, mainly because he is getting this 25% bonus. Obviously, when you do this, yours probably will not have the bonus, so you may need to put a few more levels, though we won't really be using him in the setup that we're going to be doing. And there's also other events of which I will be talking about later on. But as far as the tutorial, one major bait that the tutorial actually does, which is a huge mistake, and I'm surprised that they haven't actually fixed that yet, is during the tutorial, it tells you to switch your Crude Club to a Warrior's Axe. You absolutely do not by any means want to do this. As you can see, if you turned your mana on, if you do not know how to turn your mana on, you just go to your options there and make sure that this button is checked. As you can see, now that we can see our manas, there's actually a huge mana difference between the Crude Club and the Warrior's Axe. A whole 5 mana difference for only 1 additional damage. So you definitely want to use the Crude Club. It is exponentially better than the Warrior's Axe. This is a absolutely useless weapon, and the tutorial actually directs you to replace this out, and you definitely do not want to do that. Make sure you keep the Crude Club as your weapon, as is much better, especially with the red yellow banner, which will be giving you that +1 red that will instantly get up your hero weapon. But that was pretty much everything from the tutorial. Again, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to just leave them in the comment section and I can answer them all. But we are off now to defeat the Sheggra, and now I can actually go into some gameplay. We haven't really gotten into gameplay yet this series, so this is technically our first fight being recorded. So let's go into it. You do have the option to scout for 50 gold. For the most part, you don't really need to use this until you head over to PvP. But here we go. Starting board, we will want to take the extra turns first, of course. So we will go for that. When taking things off the board, you do want to look towards the bottom first to see if you can actually drop anything. Unfortunately, this board isn't really set up that well to be able to do anything. What we're going to try to be doing with this is reduce down their attack, so the Sheggra will be doing nothing whenever it casts its ability. It creates 6 reds and then turns all the red to skulls, which is going to be very, very devastating. But if we can reduce one of them down to 0 attack, it won't be able to do anything with pretty much anything that it has, because the only thing it'll have is a random explosion that will occasionally do like 1 or 2 damage to us, but overall wouldn't really be anything. So once we get the first troop down to 0 attack, we will pretty much win, because we can then use the goblin and just keep focusing down at the Sheggra, and then once the Sheggra dies, we can just kill out the rest of his team. We are getting a little bit of bad luck here. He is, of course, getting all of these manas. He now has 2 of the boulders, and as long as he doesn't get Sheggra ability, we should be fine. Even if we lose our hero, doesn't really matter too much. The only thing we really need to win in this is the level 6 goblin and the level 6 warhound. Make sure you get both of them to level 6, as if you are going to be using the first starting 3 troops in the game, they are vital to making sure you get a victory. So we do have a Lance Knight up right now. Unfortunately, there isn't too many options that we have if we were to decide to use it. I think I am going to use it though off this top row, just so we get those yellows. I'm trying to get our Warhound up as quick as possible. Hopefully he does not interrupt these yellows with that explosion, and he does not, so that's going to be very beneficial to us. We'll be able to take that. We could go for the green and hope for a surge. Something that I'm actually going to be doing right here is taking these browns. Main reason for this is that we'll drop down, and then we'll be able to take those yellows. We can also just take that double there, but I'll go for this and see what we can get. So we get that. We'll be able to reduce that down now to only 2 attack. And just double check the board. Always make sure there's no extra turns or anything like that. And we'll reduce that down now to 2. Once we get that down to 0, we pretty much won this for the most part. He could still technically win with the boulder explosions, but it would be very, very unlikely at that point. But we'll go for our green right here. Now we just need to take greens and yellows. I'm actually not going to be taking or using my goblin ability. Normally you do want to use it right away, but in this particular instance, if we do, we just be blocking the Warhound on green. So I do want to hold it for a little bit just until we can use it. So right there, I wish I could not take that, because if we use the Lance Knight, we'd be able to take that for an extra turn down that row right there. But it looks like we'll have to. There doesn't appear to be another way that we can take blue off the board. So it looks like we'll just have to take one of these. Go for that. We do want to try aiming this at green if possible, mainly because we will be getting the bonus from doing so. He does gain an additional 2 armor every single time he kills a green. And if you happen to destroy any skulls, they also do 1 damage each. Though we don't really need to be doing damage right now. We mainly just need to be stopping this Sheggra. And it looks like he is about to go for the kill. So instead of doing anything like that, we will just do it down this row. We will be doing that just to be able to get those 3 mana for our Warhounds. Now we just need to take a yellow or a green surge, and we should be fine. He does get a lot of damage with his Sheggra. Luckily, we have reduced his damage down to 2, so it's going to be reduced by quite a bit there. I'm not too worried about taking skulls. As soon as we can get the reduction on him, we're pretty much as good as 1. Let's see. I think I'm going to take these skulls right here and hope that a yellow drops. Okay, nope, we did not get our yellow. Okay, I also need to make sure I do not do too much damage to him, because we will be needing to keep his first slot alive, so we can just deal with the 0 attack. That will just do pretty much nothing to us. Unless he criticals, there's really not any chance. Criticals would be anytime you take 4 times or 5 times skulls, which would do 1 or 2 respectively. But as long as we just take these, get them down to 0, we should pretty much be fine. Sheggra won't be able to do too much. It'll just do those very few damage, and we can just take blues to be able to displace the rest of that, like right there and wherever they happen to come. Okay, he did just explode his blues. That's not too good for us, but we can just start hitting the Sheggra now that he has a 0 attack. We do want to make sure we do not actually damage him anymore if we can help it. It is good to get a Warhound back up. There is a chance that we might somehow kill him, so we want to make sure we can take out the next one. You saw right there we got a mana surge. What that does is give twice as much mana, and then adds any other effects that you have after it, like banners or any links. For example, we just took a yellow right there, and just a standard surge. If you take 3 gems, that would then give you 6 mana, and then it would add the banners and bonuses and such all after the fact. So we got exactly enough mana to be able to get up our Warhound, but it gave 7, not 8, because the banner of the +1 yellow triggers after the surge, not before. So right here, I do want to try getting greens. So if we take that, we're just going to give him browns, and that'll give him Sheggra, which we obviously do not want to do. Might just have to take these browns right here. Even though we don't get anything from it, there's a chance we'll get a blue, and it won't give him anything. So that's the main thing we need to try for here, is make sure he doesn't do anything too devastating to us. So we do still have to slightly worry about Sheggra, but not like excessively. It can do a very, very small amount, but until I get my Lance Knight back up, we will have a little bit of a problem with it. There we go. Okay, so we did get the blue surge there for our 6 mana. So we will be able to use this now to be able to tank. We'll want to use this down whatever row has the most green in it, and it seems there are quite a few tied at 2. So what we're actually going to be doing right here is doing it down this one. The main reason is the AI is going to most likely take these skulls right here. Oh, that was a bad skull. After he takes his extra turns, that is. He'll likely go for one of these skull pairs, and there he goes. And he does 0 damage, so that doesn't even matter at all. And that's what we were trying to bait out. On the PC mobile version, currently, it is very easy to just bait out the AI to take skulls whenever they're available. And, oh no, he is at 1 HP. That is very, very dangerous. And the Sheggra's Knight only about halfway down. So that's why we do have the backup Warhound. But that is very, very scary. Oh, I'll see he gets a random skull, but that's not too big a deal because he does do that 0. If not, that actually ends up helping us more than anything. So we'll just keep hitting down the Sheggra, and we are very, very close to be able to kill that out. Good, we didn't get a skull there. We got a green surge, which gave us all of our mana. We'll be able to take that, just remove anything else that might be on the board. Okay, we definitely don't want to do anything over there, or else we might accidentally get some skulls. So one more shot, and the Sheggra is dead. And once the Sheggra is dead, this game is pretty much as good as won. There is still a slight chance that we could lose if we got like excessively bad luck, but not that likely. So here it is going to do some damage, as you saw. That's mainly because when it does it 4 times, it'll be doing 1 damage, or if it takes it 5 times, it's going to get that 2 damage like it just did right there. But other than that, we don't really have to worry about anything. So he'll take that. We'll go for these greens, which should give us the last hit we need to be able to kill out that Sheggra. And after that, that destroys the biggest threat on his team. So we don't really need to worry about that anymore now. So we'll take that out, and now we can just kill it. We'll just go down this line and kill through everything. So let's see. No good takes on the board, so we'll just take this purple. Need to try killing this out and just go down the line. So we'll take these skulls. Right before he exploded. Very nice. Even though the explosion won't really do much, though. There's only blue. He only uses blue now, so we don't need to worry about too many colors. Normally, whenever you build actual teams, you do want to make sure you try to cover every single color, which we will be getting into. But I just wanted to show this with the starting troops to show you that it is very much possible to defeat the Sheggra battle with the starting troops that you get, as well as the starting souls that you get. We didn't use any additional souls that we got from any other means. This is just from going from the single first battle you start with all the way up to the Sheggra battle is how many souls we have, which is level 6 Warhounds, level 6 Goblin, and then the rest into Lance Knight, which should only be 1 level. Unless you lost, then it might have been like 2 levels if you lost any of the battles going up to it. But we'll just take that. Lance Knight, I am trying to look for a location, though there doesn't appear to be any. And I do not want to bait out skulls right now because he does have a higher attack. So what I might just go for right here is a attack reduction, just to make sure he doesn't kill our Lance Knight. We do want to make sure we keep our Lance Knight up, mainly because we're going to be using it as our primary tank here, just to make sure we do not die, because that is still technically possible. So we'll throw that out. Do that to the top. Too bad there wasn't a row with 3 green, or else we would have been able to get our Goblin up right there. We'll just take those skulls. We'll just poke them down 4 damage at a time, and go from there. We can keep using our Lance Knight. We can keep using our Goblin. One unfortunate part about this, the fact that we did lose our hero, is our hero was one of our main damage sources on this team. And now that we don't have it, we do damage at a slightly slower rate. But we'll take out this rogue gets a yellow. We got it on Surge. We got all of our mana. And nice, another skull. We'll throw out this first. Hopefully we'll be able to get Lance Knight up. All we'll really need is 2 blue peers, and that should do it. We'll take that, and now he's down to that 1 HP. Both of them keep getting down to 1 HP. Luckily our Lance Knight can clean that up if we needed to. Well, we'll start back on our Goblin, and let's see, good. We'll take that skull right before he does that, and there we go. We even got a lucky skull after that, and now we have a huge Lance Knight. There's basically no way it could possibly win at this point. We'll just reduce its attack for good measure, just to make sure it extremely has no chance of winning now. So we will be explaining a few other things as soon as I wrap up this battle, mostly with the guild. My guild hasn't done much yet. This is still the exact same day I did the first recording, only a couple of hours later. So our guild hasn't really done anything yet. Most of the smaller guilds don't really do too much. They're normally pretty casual with no requirement. I was looking at my guild, and there were about like a third of the guild were completely inactive. So that's one of the good things about joining one of the random ones that you see with the same method that I did, is they normally don't have any requirement at all. So even if you wanted to come into this game very casually, you wouldn't have to worry about like any kind of minimum requirement that they might kick you or anything like that. Most of those smaller guilds right there, whenever you look at that screen that we did on the very first episode, where you just go and guild recruit that way or find a guild that way, they're normally pretty lenient. And you can pretty much stay there for as long as you want, contributing however much you want, and you'll still get a nice trickle of free resources, and they don't normally mind. Eventually, you do want to look into getting into bigger guilds, but obviously we just started this game. We have no need for a bigger guild yet, nor will we for probably a couple weeks. But there we go. That is the Sheggra fight. The Sheggra fight is actually very important in this game, mainly because it unlocks Arena, which actually recently got a buff in how much it pays out. Which is very good value doing Arena, which I will be explaining a lot in our next episode. But here is just going to be Luther explaining everything with his adventure, and then he's going to be joining us. Whenever you complete a quest line in this game, you do obtain a epic. I will put a link in the description below of every single kingdom epic in the game. Actually, I'll probably just link the video that I did on it, showing like which ones are the better ones and everything like that, because there are a lot of epics in this game and a lot that you can get for free. There are currently 26 kingdoms in the game, and there's a free epic that you can get from each one of them from completing the quest line, but some of them are better than others. Luther is one of the weaker ones. Okay, as you can see here over to the left, we have our hero masteries. For the most part, you just want to make them go all even. There isn't too much of a need to really focus on any of them. You do gain weapons as you level these up, but most of these weapons you won't really be needing due to class weapons are superior to about 95% of the weapons that you will be obtaining by that method. So there are a couple things I do want to go over now. For one, something I didn't really go over that much, but you can of course add troops. All you have to do is just drag them over, and you can reorganize them as you please in any way that you think is best. And there's quite a bit that you can do with that. And of course, we do have leveling. If we wanted to level it, we got 100 souls from that. We can level these. I'm not going to be wasting any on Luther though. Luther, you don't really need. He is the first epic you get, but he only does a attack buff to all your allies, and there are much better options that come in. You could always use him, maybe get a few levels on him. For the most part, you don't really will be needing a Luther. Actually, pretty much every single troop that you start out with, other than your Goblin, you won't really be needing as you progress through the game. But there's a couple things I want to go over right now. For one, it's actually pointing at this mini game right now, which is a tutorial for once is actually going over something important. So this is Arena. You get rewards for it as you progress. You unlock this as soon as you defeat the Sheggra fight that we just did. And this is quite possibly the best thing that you could ever be doing as a newer player. Not only is Arena a even playing field for all players, it is one of the best payouts for earlier on in the game. You get a nice amount of gold, you get some glory keys which help you get troops and a bunch of other resources, and the main thing it gives is a lot of souls. which you will be using to upgrade troops. As you can see, we have like abysmal amount of souls right now. We only have about 112 souls on our account right now. But as you can see, just from getting like 3 wins on arena, we can pretty much like double the amount of souls we have, triple, quadruple, and then a ridiculous amount just for winning in arena. And winning in arena isn't particularly hard. Next video will be completely about that, but there are 2 more things I want to go over. The main one is with guild. Every single time you win a battle, gain a level, and do a lot of things in this game, all of these things, you start to gain seals. You only do this if you're actually in a guild, which is another reason, which is why it's really important to join a guild. And we will be able to use on guild chests. And the drops that they have within those guild chests are based on how far your guild has actually gotten within the week. As you can see, because we are at 10,000 seals this guild, as of this current moment, we have a chance of getting every single rarity in the game, all the way from common to mythic. And of course, if you get the higher ones, it'll be a even higher chance to get the better ones, and any of the lower ones, you'll mainly just be getting commons, rares, and maybe a few ultra rares. So let's go now and open up all of these. I will be doing pretty much all key openings during actual Let's Play videos. So let's go and open our first 5 gold keys and see if we get anything worthwhile. Okay, so one thing that I will be doing whenever we get into new troops is I will be going over every single new troop we get and basically saying if it is or is not good to be using towards earlier on in the game and how it basically scales. For one, we actually got an insane drop. Not only does Dark Master have a double buff this week, he is actually one of the best troops in the entire game for under level 50. The main reason for this is he has a static 9 damage that he does to an enemy. Later on in the game, this is absolutely abysmal, but this early on in the game, this is basically enough to one-shot. He can one-shot himself. But he does a lot of damage. He then summons a Thrall, which is a purple troop that destroys a couple gems. And if he kills an enemy, he then gives all allies 2 attack. And you remember Luther earlier with his 2 attack to all allies? Well, Dark Master does that, but he also does damage. And he summons something if there's a free slot on your team. So he does a lot for early game. That's actually an amazing drop. We'll definitely be using that some more, probably tomorrow. Jackalope, pretty useless. It's always been useless. It mana burns an enemy. Mana burn mechanic, what it does is it deals damage based on its magic plus however much mana the enemy has. As you can see, it has 1 magic. So let's assume a enemy currently has 3 out of 5 mana. That would mean this ability would do 4 damage. 1 from it having 1 magic and 3 from it having 3 of its 5 mana. It doesn't deal damage based on its max mana. It deals damage based on its current mana, which of course if it was 3, that would be 3 additional damage, and you just add whatever its magic is, and it's pretty much a useless troop. You won't really need it. Rock is okay early on. It's one of the few troops in this game that can only cast once per battle, even if you have multiple on it. It may seem like this is a pretty good ability, but of course you can only cast it once. This early on in the game, we could kind of try it because this early, 10 damage and gaining 8 attack and life is definitely decent, but as I said, it can only be used once. So we might need to try it out, but it does require a very high mana cost. And we got Sandcrowbar. We probably won't be needing this. It poisons, disease, and stuns a random enemy. It does do this for 6 mana, but we don't have any need to stun. Let me explain what all 3 of these do. Poison, it has a 50% chance of dealing 1 damage every single turn. It's also one of the only stats effects that does not automatically cleanse over time. Disease just cuts the amount of mana a enemy gets by half, any of them that are diseased. And stun just disables traits. Traits we'll be getting into later on. This early in the game, you'll basically never see anything with traits, so we don't even need to worry about that. Now let's go over to guild chests. Guild chests are very, very, very good, mainly because they will be giving you guild guardians, and regardless of what your guild is as far as your chest level, you always have a 50% chance of getting guild guardians. And right here, let's go open them. So let's do 3 1-drops, and then we'll do the 10 all at once. And there we go, a Justice. That's actually one of them that I wanted. Justice is quite possibly the most overpowered guardian of all 3 of them. if we can get something that gets a freeze. Currently, we don't have anything that uses a freeze mechanic, but as you can see right here, all Guardians create 15 gems of a mixture of whatever the color is, plus whatever you choose. And you can choose skulls, you can choose any color that's on the board. But this is the only Guardian that actually boosts up 2 different stats. This specific one is life and attack, and it is boosted by frozen enemies, and that boost ratio is going to be boosting up both that life and attack. So if we get 1 freeze, we're going to be giving all of our other allies 5 attack and 5 life, which compared to a Luther, you can see why I said you don't need Luther. Plus it's the same mana cost as Luther, it just uses blue mana instead of brown blue. But there we go, Justice. That's actually one of the exact drops I wanted. The Bombot, Bombot is okay. This earlier on in the game, we won't really be needing it. If you can get some kind of armor buffer with it, it would kind of be okay. But it explodes 2 random gems, then deals damage to all enemies, boosted by how much armor he has, but then he kills himself. It's decent damage, but it's very high risk, high reward using that troop. And this early on in the game, we wouldn't really have a need for it. Loyalty, also kind of useless. Another one, the Guardians. It, of course, it has that 15 crate of its color and of another color, a mixture of them both, and it just gives some life, and it's boosted by Entangle. There's only like one really good troop that synergizes with it, which is Green Seer. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a higher rarity, and we likely won't see it. And Loyalty in general is just a little bit more towards the weaker side. But now let's do our 10 chest open and see what we get. Okay, Wrath. Okay, that's competent. Sacrifice. That's useless. Goblin Shaman. We can use that really well with Goblin. Grave Knight. That's pretty useless. Sacrifice. That's literally useless. Frost Giant. We have a freeze. We have a freeze. And we got a second Justice. But Frost Giant does have a freeze on him. Steam Turret, completely useless. Never use it. Courage. Nice. We'll be able to use that possibly in the future. And Deep Borer. We don't have anything that synergizes with it. But, okay. Quick overview. Grave Knight. You mainly only use it with all Golvania teams. It destroys an enemy's armor and then deals some damage to them. For the most part, you don't really need to use the troop. Deep Borer destroys a column, creates a bunch of brown, and gains some armor. You use this mainly with brown heavy teams that need quick brown mana. Frost Giant, we normally would not really use this troop, but earlier on in the game, it scales pretty well. Deals damage to a random enemy, boosted by how many skulls are on the board, which is a 1-to-1 ratio. That, in many cases, will be enough to one-shot this early in the game, or at least be pretty close to it. And the enemy is then frozen. This is currently the only troop we have that is capable of freezing another enemy, and we may need to utilize that if we're going to try some kind of team with a Justice later on. Goblin Shaman is very, very powerful. We'll likely want to build some kind of team with this around the Goblin that we already have. All Goblin teams are pretty nice. It creates 7 greens and then gives a random ally some life, and automatically gains an extra turn. Most of the Goblins automatically gain an extra turn whenever they cast their ability, which makes them able to loop pretty well. And as you can see, it creates a bunch of green gems, which we'll be able to use to feed to our Goblin. And Steam Turret is just useless. This deals a little bit of split damage. Its mana cost is way too high for what it does. Courage is a attack buffer of one of the Guardians. Justice we already went over. Sacrifice is kills an enemy and then gives you some magic. It is very, very bad, especially this earlier on in the game. There's no synergy for it. Actually, there's basically nothing in the entire game that ever synergizes with. You can pretty much ignore Sacrifice from existence. And then we have a Wraith. It steals some life. And steal life means it does true damage to them, which means it hits their HP, as well as he gains that life. So he would gain 3 life and then reduce their life by 3 by doing that. Or it would steal their mana, which would just steal all of the target's mana and then give it to him. So a pretty decent troop. It also has some very good traits. We might need to try it out. It also has Chilling Touch, which we might be able to utilize again with our Justice. And one thing to note before I end out this video, which is very, very, very important. I did say that some of these are useless, such as our Sacrifice, but one thing that you never, ever, ever want to do is click the disenchant button or these disenchant buttons. You never want to disenchant troops. The amount of souls that you get for them is definitely not worth it. What you want to save is for Ascension, which is something we'll be going over a lot more in the future once we actually get more copies of troops. But Ascension essentially is Once you get so many copies of a troop, you'll be able to upgrade its stats and upgrade its max level, which comes into play a lot. But definitely never, ever, please don't disenchant your troops. You want to ascend them, do not disenchant them. But anyways, that will wrap it up for this video. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Otherwise, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.